Clarita here, and I've got a new sponsor, DistroKid. If you want to release your music into the world, DistroKid's the easiest way to get your music into all the major streaming platforms, unlimited uploads, and keep 100% of your royalties. And because you're a Design Freaks listener, you get 30% off. Go to distrokid.com/VIP/designfreaks. DistroKid. Design Freaks. And this is the show about record covers, graphic design, music history, art, etc. So my guest today is an artist, an album designer, musician, drawer, collector of records and t-shirts, has a show on Instagram Live called Tea Time Shirt Show, and has a lot of other projects going on. And his name is Perry Shall, like the word.
Yes, it's funny. I wish everybody pronounced it like that with the echo every time they said my name.
Every time. I'm going to get a surgically implanted echo device too.
I'm sure they could do that. They could
Yeah.
do that now. That's got to be an easy one, actually.
Well, hello. Welcome to the show, Perry.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Do people tend to, because you have such a short, kind of a perfect name where the first name and last name goes together, do people often call you Perry Shall?
It does happen pretty often. The other thing is, like, people are almost so confused by it being so simple that they're like, well, what's Perry short for? And I'm like, no, that's it. That's just the name.
What would
Or
it be
some
for?
people, oh, I've gotten Perilled or Parents, which are not names that anybody's ever heard before, but they've heard Perry. Why all of a sudden would there be some secret version
What
of
about like Perome, like Jerry's short for Jerome?
Perome?
Perome.
No, I haven't. I don't think I've heard Perome.
Now, let me ask you about this because I watched your very entertaining Instagram Live t-shirt show called the Tea Time Shirt Show, where you have people come on and they randomly kind of sign up to enter in and show you the t-shirts they've been collecting. And it's really, really fun. But there's this ongoing joke about, can I call you Oeri?
Oh, weird that you picked up on that. One guy that I guess now I'm like, these were strangers a couple weeks ago. Now I feel like I'm friends with them all. But this one guy, he occasionally, and I guess it happens often, people will accidentally type Oeri because the P and the O are they're right there, and you can easily slip up and press the O instead. And so now I'm just like, sure, Oeri, whatever. Maybe that's a new nickname.
It's better than Perilled.
Yes, it is. It is. I would agree with that.
Okay, so you're not calling me from jail. You're calling me from Philadelphia, but we're all in lockdown. And I wanted to ask, how is Philly? Are people taking the mask orders and distancing orders seriously? How would you rate it?
I would rate it extremely disappointed on the Perry scale. I'm so full of anxiety. Okay, all the time I'm full of anxiety and stress about everything, but now especially on my way, I'm lucky. I will say this. I'm lucky that I'm able to work. I work out of my studio, which is just me and my cat, and I have to take care of a cat, so I'm allowed to leave my house, to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to my studio to work, and on my drive there, today alone, I've passed, I would estimate 20 people within like a 5 to 10 block radius without masks on at all.
Whoa, dude.
So I'm having a hard time.
We're not going to enforce it, obviously, like drunk driving, but you're still endangering other people. And I think that's the thing people can't get their head wrapped around, is that it's not about you.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
anyway, well, I hope things start to get better. And
they won't. But
speaking of Philadelphia, and I love your hometown pride. It's in all of your art. It's in, your show and everything, your t-shirts. I just wanted to um, ask, why didn't anyone in that show, It's Always Sunny, have accents? It's the best accent.
I have to tell you, I,
Not a
I'm going to
fan.
put myself on blast for this. I'm not only not a fan, but that part of it really drives me nuts because it's like the only thing we want people to take away from this is
Mhm.
that Philly people are we allowed to curse on this show? I
Yeah,
forget.
absolutely. Please.
Yes. The only thing that you take away from it is that Philly people are ignorant assholes. And I'm like,
Yep.
yes, that's true. But if you, and not all of them, but it's a fine stereotype if we're going to have one. And if that's the case, at least make them sound like Philly assholes instead of regular assholes who are just claiming the city.
Instead of LA dudes.
And it's fun. It's so fun to do that accent.
It
Like,
is the best.
who doesn't love learning an accent from a different city? It's like a great challenge to yourself, especially I imagine as an actor. So it's like the least you could do is try to try to do that. To me, that would be like the first thing I would think of. Like, okay, this guy's auditioning for this show. Okay,
Uh-huh.
well, first read these lines in a Philly accent.
And at least Mac seems like the most likely, like he could have had that.
They all have beards, right? I can't remember which one that
Uh,
is.
Mac, he has a beard sometimes, but
Okay, I don't
yeah,
know.
there's got to be someone who they could have forced it on. Like, come
Totally,
on.
totally. No, I know what you mean. And like, look, Danny DeVito can do whatever he wants. I would never be upset that he doesn't have an accent.
Yeah,
He's perfect. But
yeah.
yeah, the Philly accent, I'm sure we've spoke about it, but like I had one when I was a kid and I lost it,
Hmm.
and I'm saddened by it because now there's so many people who have moved to Philly that I feel like I need
Oh,
more of a way to prove to everybody that I'm actually from here instead of moving here from Jersey or wherever people move from.
yeah. If I
Um,
moved there, I would get the accent. I would make it a point.
It'd be like, sign me up, put me in the part of the city where the most Philly accents are, and I'll just
Yeah,
absorb it.
absolutely. COVID, you got your
Yes.
water, you got
See, you're good at it.
Harry's.
You already would be better on that show than any of the.
Yeah, D could have had it. What the hell? There's
Yeah.
nothing else going
Yeah.
on.
And I will say, like, I could see her, being an actual somebody from Philly. So yeah, it would have been nice.
Oh
Would have been
yeah.
nice.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
know. Like,
okay.
could you imagine a show in Boston where they don't sound like Boston?
It would.
It'd be an
Yeah, it would be.
outrage.
It would be kind of weird.
So you work for a record label based in Nashville, Tennessee, Easy Eye Sound, correct? They
Yeah,
are
that's correct.
they are headquartered there. And how did you get hooked up with them so far away?
Well, so the label's run by Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys
Hmm.
and originally from Akron, Ohio. And he's been living in Nashville for like, I don't know if it's 10 years now or 12 years or something like that. And I used to tour with a band called Jeff the Brotherhood as like tour manager, merch guy. I was terrible at all of it, but I was on the road with them. And and I would do all their artwork at a certain point. I was doing their album art and whatnot.
Okay.
So they were recording a record with Dan at his, I believe at the time was his like new studio that he had just only recently had started building and stuff. So I was in Nashville. We were about to leave for a Jeff the Brotherhood tour,
Hmm.
and I was finishing up artwork at their. They also ran a record label called Infinity Cat Records, or still do. I don't know what's happening with the quarantine,
Yeah.
if anything is run anymore. But so I was staying at the Infinity Cat record label house working on artwork for the new Jeff the Brotherhood record. We're about to leave for tour. The two members of the band say, we're going to listen to the final mixes of our album at Dan's studio. Do you want to come with? You should come check it out. It's awesome. You can meet Dan, whatever. And in my head, I'm like, Dan Auerbach, okay, the guy from the Black Keys, okay, that's like a garage rock band. Like in my head, not thinking at all, oh wait, this band is huge. I just had them in my mind as like, oh yeah, they have a song on Eastbound and Down. I like that one record. Like I really was clueless about it. So I was like, nah, I'm gonna stay here and work on your artwork instead.
Okay.
And so they were like, okay, sure. So they went to the studio to listen. Also, I should have just gone to listen to their album because I was excited about it. But in my head, we had a deadline, and as you know, deadlines are the scariest thing in the world, except for it never really matters. It's never that big of a deal. Yeah. But in the moment, I was like, no, you got to finish this artwork. So they come back and they're like, hey, it was so cool. Album sounds so good, blah, blah, blah. Also, Dan's going to email you. He has like some art thing he wants to see if you're up for doing. And I was like, oh, sure, no problem. So he emails me, hey, we're working on this logo for my studio.
Wow.
And God, this has to be, if I had to guess, like 2011, it might even been earlier. I don't know what time is anymore. And so I emailed with him a little bit. We decided what we wanted. Hey, here's how much it costs. Send me PayPal, whatever. Sure, no problem. PayPal's me. I'm like, man, working with this guy is awesome. You know, not thinking much of it. And then he'd hit me up every once in a while. Can you do this little thing for me? This little thing? Sure, no problem, whatever. So then like maybe a year or two went by, and then he hit me up out of nowhere and was like, hey, I just produced this record for this guy, Bombino. And it's called Nomad, and we need somebody to do the artwork. It's a really cool record, whatever. I was like, sure, let's do it. None Such was putting it out, and I was like, this is going to be the biggest thing I've ever done, you know?
Yeah.
And so we did it. It was great. And, you know, I tell my relatives like, oh yeah, it was really cool. This guy, Dan, he's in this band and blah, blah, blah. And everybody's like, oh, that's great. You're going to do I bet you're going to do more stuff with him. It's going to be really big. And it's like, this guy's a big deal and all this stuff. And I'm like, he's just some guy in some garage band. Sorry, this is a long story, but it's ridiculous. And so I was in like a CVS or I can't remember. It was a thrift store even or something. And I hear this music playing over the speakers and I'm like, this is the Black Keys. And I was like, no shit, this band's huge. Like it just clicked, you know, it just clicked. Oh, wait, they're a band that's played inside stores. They're a band that's played. And then, of course, I start to realize like, oh my God, I am an idiot. Not that it matters. I mean, I wouldn't have treated it differently, but like, oh yeah, this thing that I'm doing is actually is a big deal instead of me being like, you know, not that phased. So to answer your question, after all of that, a couple more years go by, and then at the end of 2017 it was, I got an email from his manager that was like, hey, Dan was wondering, like, are you busy the next couple of months? Like, do you have time to do some album art or you know, stuff like that? And I'm thinking, well, what is this about? And he's like, oh, well, Dan's starting a record label, and he wants you to do all the artwork.
Wait a minute. So this is what I was going to get at, is the entire Easy Eye Sound brand is so Perry.
Well, it is. I'm the only one who's doing the art.
Are establishing the entire look and feel of that label. It's amazing. You're like how Barney Bubbles was to Stiff Records.
If that's not the goal, right? I mean, that is literally my example of what I want to be and who I want to be.
Exactly.
And I mean, to a T, that's my guy. That's the guy who I want
Whew.
to
Well, you're definitely on your way. I mean, you established the logo and it goes so well with all of your art it's great.
thank you. Yeah, well, so that's kind of what ends up happening is he says, Dan's doing this thing. Do you want to be the guy? And I was like, oh, you caught me at I worded it something like, you caught me at the perfect time. I happened to be available right now. Of course I would have dropped everything, and there's no bad time for somebody to ask me to do that. The way I work with Dan, it's surreal.
Really?
Yeah, we just like all
Okay.
the same stuff. And, we did this like AIGA Q&A kind of thing.
Oh,
And
wow.
with Lawrence Azarad, who
Mm,
is incredible. And it didn't hit me till like the end of the entire interview. But like Dan and I are really into collecting stuff, old stuff,
hmm
70s stuff, earlier 80s, whatever.
hmm
And like everything we do is influenced by that.
Yep,
So it only makes sense that we both want everything that we make to feel like things that we would buy or things that we would
exactly.
listen to or things that we would, want to look at. And so it really has just yeah, it's special. It's like a really special thing that it's hard to get with a lot of people. We've always collected
hmm
these kind of old things and always liked it. And everything down, as like the colors of things are very important. And
hmm
it's weird how sometimes he'll text me something like, hey, what if you tried this? And then I send him back like, I just tried it already without even you telling me. Like that happens all the time.
Whoa.
It's so funny.
Kismet. So where do
Yeah.
listeners can we find that AIGA interview somewhere?
I don't think that I haven't looked in a while, and unless
Okay.
somebody uploaded it, but it's funny because it was kind of at the beginning of the label. So it was like we
Oh,
only
okay.
had a few things. There was a lot of people there who were interested in specifically what we were talking about, and it was great. But
hmm
I keep thinking back like, man, I would have been so much better at that now.
Well,
But
that's what
that,
happens. Yeah.
yeah, but it was great. But I don't think that it is anywhere, unfortunately. And for maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you might not want to, yeah, keep revisiting that kind of awkward beginning stages. But if it is, then it'll be maybe in the AIGA archives. I'm a member, so maybe I
Oh,
have
cool.
access to
Well,
that. Um,
let me know if you find it. I'm not a
I
member.
will. I will. I'll let you know.
I felt very honored that they wanted me to be part of it because I had to sit in front of a group of potentially maybe a bunch of amazing artists. I mean, I
Yeah.
also mentioned like if you're trying to do this for a living, you might not be good at it either. Like, this
hmm
is a weird world, but
Yeah.
and I had to tell them that I dropped out of college twice and I have no idea what I'm doing still, and I don't know how to use Illustrator, and I'm still figuring it out. And meanwhile, all these
W-
people are in this amazing organization that,
Never say,
you know,
look, let me give you some advice from someone who's been doing it not even like a quarter as long as you, okay? As a universal thing, don't I would say there's so many different types of design and so many different types of designers that it's a good lesson for us all. We all have imposter syndrome, and we all need to remember that it takes all different types of skills to weave together the giant tapestry of of existing design. I don't know if
I
that makes
agree.
sense.
No, I totally agree.
We
It's
can't
easy
all
for
have the
for
same
me to,
skills. That would be
yeah.
boring. You
Oh,
know?
I know. I mean, I agree. No, I totally agree.
So I wouldn't say that you don't know what you're doing. Plus, a lot of people are completely self-taught. They never even went to college for one day.
Oh, well, I mean,
Um,
I went to college for some days, but I might as well have been self-taught. Here's what I took away from it. I like figure drawing and learning how to draw properly. And
yeah,
typography was kind of cool as a class, but
yeah.
mostly I'm going to tell you the truth. I mostly just doodled in my books, and I mean, I just did not pay attention. I could not do it.
Well, the doodling paid off. As someone who covered all their notebooks and doodles, and I love going back and looking at all that stuff. you basically, and not that your COVID drawings are doodles, but you've been putting out these adorable drawings, and they don't look like they take a whole lot of time. It looks
Good.
like that's
They
intentional,
yes, they take
minimal-ish.
more thought than they do time in a sense. You know what I mean?
Exactly. The concepts are strong and they're so funny and so clever. So is there any way one day you had an Insta story of all of them in a row? Is there any way people can see? Because now there's 66 of them or 65?
Well, there's 65 days, but I tried to do on Monday through Friday. So weekends,
Okay.
but I was I'm keeping count of what day of the quarantine the drawing is from, not so much which number the drawing is. But that being said, there's probably almost
Yeah.
50 drawings at this point.
And some of them are two panels. So
Yeah.
are you planning on doing anything with that, all the series?
I mean, people keep asking me to do a book when it's over. I don't know. All I all I keep thinking is, oh, cool, a 500-page book. But
Is it going to end?
yeah. But I mean, that would be cool if somebody approaches me and says, we can do this for you and you can get paid for it. And I just want them to be put out there in the right way. And also, yeah, like I said, money sucks, but if
Mhm.
somebody can do it and I can make some money because
Yeah.
it takes a lot of time to make these drawings,
Yeah.
that would be cool. And if not, I'll just lose money on it and do it anyway because it sounds
Well,
fun.
I know how to do book layout, so hit me up if you need it.
Okay,
Um,
definitely.
Anyways, so those are really great. And it's also, it might be therapeutic for you to create, but it's also just to let you know, it's really comforting and therapeutic to know that I'm not the only one feeling
Uh,
a certain way that day. It's really cool. I
I
really appreciate it.
I really appreciate that because people keep saying that kind of thing to me, and all I could think of is that like I'm doing this for my own sanity.
Yep.
I hope it helps other people, but also like if I finish a drawing or come up with one and write it down and laugh about it and then text it to like two of my friends who are basically my like proofreaders for comedy,
Mhm.
um, then I feel like I'm doing something right. And if one person can take something away from one drawing I did that day and get a good laugh or like feel comforted by it, I am so happy by that.
That's amazing. Yeah. And good comedy is honest and it is comforting. So thank you
Good.
for your service.
Yeah, I'm
um,
trying.
so getting back to the album design, listeners, I just wanted to let the listeners know that you're at perryshall.com and they can peruse all of your album covers there for Easy Eye Sound and see how cohesive and awesome it all is together as a group. Also, you have your T-shirts up, and I would like to, if you click on store, I just want to give a warning that you're going to want to buy everything. It's all so good. Uh, yeah, there's some really choice shirts there. Like, oh man, what is the one about the heat? If you like the heat so much, why don't you go to hell?
Yeah, I hate the summer. I am like a spokesperson for anti-summer. I hate it so much. I hate the heat. So I was like, I know that other people must hate this as much as I do. And of course I picked the one thing to hate that everybody looks forward to, but I just don't like it. I don't know. So yeah, it says if you like the heat so much, why don't you go to hell?
Well, I want one of those because in Seattle, we get like 2 months and everyone just freaks out and scrambles and everything happens in that time. And of course, this year is going to be weird. Everything's canceled.
I mean, hopefully there's not going to be another situation where summer, I mean, and this is me saying this for non-selfish purposes, obviously, but like hopefully there's never a situation where people can't enjoy their summer because I know how much it means to so many people.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm very curious to see what happens. What is it going to be like? I don't know. It's interesting to
No,
me.
definitely. And it is the only time of year that Seattle's nice. Like we kind of suffer through all the grayness for this one
You got a lot of
time.
rain out there, huh?
We get a like, yep, coffee and rain. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Soundgarden and such. So speaking of your t-shirts though, something really cool happened yesterday, and I was kind of laughing that it was the anniversary present to you from the quarantine. Your t-shirt appeared on an Instagram live. Would you like to tell
Oh
it
my God,
or
I was. It took me a second because I was like, "Oh, I want to know what happened."
how quickly you
It
forget?
happened to me. That's who. Um, I got to just so. Uh, I'm from Philly. I don't know if I mentioned that yet, but I'm from Philadelphia, and there's this guy who is from Philadelphia called Questlove, and he is from a band called The Roots, and I grew up obsessing over them. I used to see
Mhm.
them when I was a kid. I love them so much that they're such an important part of my life and my growth as a person and just everything. And so I this guy follows me named Eric, and I had no idea who he was. I didn't know he was following me or anything. I posted a picture of an old shirt that I had. It was from the Roots album, Philadelphia Half Life. And so I posted a picture of it one day in my Instagram stories because I just like to show off all the crazy shirts I have. And he messaged me and was like, "Hey, do you know who the artist is on this shirt?" or something like that. And I'm like, "No, sorry, it's a great shirt though, whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, I work for okplayer.com, which is
Uh-huh.
the website that the Roots started, probably back in the 90s, I guess. And I've
Mhm.
been, going to that website, especially in high school and stuff. It was like where I would get my hip hop rap news. And
Uh-huh.
and so and other things too they talked about. But so he's like, "Oh, I work for them," and I immediately just said, "Oh my God, can I make a T-shirt for the Roots?" And so what uh, kind of ended up happening is that I got to make a Questlove shirt, and I I wanted to make a shirt that looked like a bootleg rock concert parking lot tee that you would get,
Absolutely. Yep.
illegally outside of a concert. Specifically in like the 70s and 80s. So I wanted to make one for Questlove because he's to me he is like not to use the term literally like a rock star, but he's a rock star.
He is. Absolutely.
He he's just everything that you would want a cool musician who is famous to be. He's just lives it. He's the real deal,
Mhm.
and he's amazing. So the fact that I got to do that was just like the highlight of my life. Probably the coolest T-shirt I've ever been able to design, and I was so happy with how it came out. And I thought that was kind of the end of it. And then Eric, who got me the gig to do the T-shirt, sends me a message yesterday when I
Uh-huh.
was getting ready to leave my studio, and it was a link. And Questlove DJs live every night during the quarantine,
Uh-huh.
which has been incredible.
Nice.
And he's wearing the T-shirt that I designed for
Uh,
him.
and see how great he is? He's representing a Philly artist too.
I don't know if he knows anything
Does he
about
know?
anything.
Does he know about you?
I don't think that here's the thing, because it's for the website. I don't think he sits
Oh.
there. Well, and so it's weird because everybody's like, "Wow, that's amazing. You got to do that." I'm like, "Well, it is. I don't know that he knows about me. I feel like I am going to figure out a way to make this connection, and I want to interview him about his
Yeah.
T-shirt collection and all this stuff for
Oh, I
tea
bet he
time
has
and all
some.
that stuff."
Oh, that would be a great episode. That was really exciting yesterday, and I'll post the photo of Questlove up so people can see what that looks like.
Sweet.
Maybe he'll wear it again if he's DJing
Yeah,
every single
maybe.
night. So I wanted to ask, I'm asking everybody these same questions, and it's kind of interesting the different answers I'm getting. So the first question is, what was the very first album cover that you remember? The
Oh,
first one that
geez.
really caught your attention.
So it's hard for me to remember exactly. The one,
Mhm.
whenever I get asked a similar question, at least, I don't know why. Maybe because it reoccurred so many times in my life, but I guess it would probably be either Abbey Road
Mhm.
or Son of Schmielson by Harry
Okay.
Nilsson. Um,
Nice.
is it? I believe it's Son of Schmidt. I always get them mixed up because his album titles are so silly and always a play off of his, or not always, but yeah, Son of Schmielson, where he's looks like a vampire. And when I was a kid, my dad had a bunch of his records, and I remember I would, okay, like it's time, I want to start getting into music. Okay, so we have records or this like mess of pile of cassette tapes in the car. So so I would go through my dad's records, and Abbey Road, you know, it's like, okay, the Beatles are the band that you're supposed to listen to. This is supposed to be like the best band ever. And you pull it out and you're like, it's so pleasing to look at. The layout of that cover, if you look at it as like shapes, almost like in front you have the four people walking across the street, then you have the lines in the street at a different angle and perspective, and then the whole street as a whole. I mean, there's just so many little things about it that was like, hold on, I gotta stare at this and look, oh, there's a Volkswagen in the background or whatever, you know. And that always stuck with me.
Paul's barefoot, which made people think he was dead for some reason.
Yeah, that's a great. I don't think I realized at the time, even I probably didn't even think about it, honestly.
It's funny, this came up in my conversation with Arish too, and we came to the conclusion, we made up a joke, why did the Beatles cross the road? Because Paul McCartney was dead. So I'm gonna do a drawing.
No, his shoes were on the other side. He was going to get his
shoes were on the other side.
He was going to get his shoes.
I'm just gonna show like a skeleton with a barefoot skeleton with the rest of his clothes on.
Oh, well, funny thing about that cover, and this is probably partially why I always think of this, is that many years later, I had my bar mitzvah, and the theme for my bar mitzvah was the Beatles. And so the t-shirts was a picture. It was Abbey Road, and in the middle I was walking across the street with them. Little 13-year-old Perry. Yeah, they got this guy to like, at the time, very early Photoshop. I didn't even know what it was, but they like photoshopped and airbrushed like a Perry in the middle of the Beatles walking across the street. I'll have to send you a picture. So there's t-shirts, and I have the sign-in board, which is a giant version of it.
Send me that, because I also want to post the video of your bar mitzvah from your sound song.
God, it's like
that bar mitzvah looks like the most fun thing that ever happened in the early 90s period. Like
it was pretty nuts.
Like if there was a holodeck, I want to go there. That's where I want to go.
There were dancers that came with the DJ, and I walked out to "I'm Too Sexy for My Shirt" or whatever that song is called. Right, said Fred. Right? Yeah, I walked, and this is my parents' idea, because you have to have an entrance song. And my parents said, "Oh, what if you did 'I'm Too Sexy'?" So we walked out with two dancers to "I'm Too Sexy," and at the time it was funny, and then it was embarrassing, and now I'm like, that's the coolest thing I've ever done in my life, and I will never top that.
Never. Questlove, doesn't matter. Gilbert Gottfried.
I said that, but Gilbert, yeah.
Don't tell Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah.
Speaking of Harry Nilsson being a vampire,
yes.
What about Gilbert Gottfried also being a vampire? Is this a theme in your life?
Sure. I think so. I guess by accident. Well, so the other album cover was Son of Schmielson, because it was another album my dad sat me down with and said, listen to this. Of course, he wanted me to hear "You're Breaking My Heart," and the lyrics are, and you're tearing it apart, so fuck you. And I was too young for a dad to be like, this song is funny, you got to hear it. And I'm like, I don't think I'm supposed to be listening to this. Wait, you're the person who would be yelling at me. I guess it's fine. So
that was always so fun when grown-ups let you like hear. This is the coolest song ever, Dad. Yeah, when grown-ups would let you hear cuss words, that was fun.
Yeah, it was definitely a moment where he thought, for selfish purposes only, if not anything else, I need to play this for a kid. But that was an album that I was like, whoa, this guy is cool. Of course, the music doesn't really match the look of the album, but I loved horror movies and stuff like that as a kid. And I hung the poster up from that album in my room. And I mean, if you saw that in a record store and didn't know what it was, it's only black and white too. Like, it's just in a time period where like album covers could be anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's the coolest, and that album is cool. But
I love that it doesn't match the music, and I think that was intentional and pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you could say the same thing about Kiss too, you know?
Yeah, but with Harry Nilsson, like that was his 8th album from 1972, and he had already put out 8 records. So one of them I have. So a couple years after that, he does a horrible musical with Ringo Starr called Son of Dracula. So I guess everyone loved Son of Schmelson, and they're like, you got to do this movie. And it's a pity because the album is it's the Batwing gatefold.
And it comes with an iron-on, a t-shirt.
Wait, mine doesn't have it.
Well, I know, because most people probably put it on their shirts, but I think it says "Bite Me." But him and Ringo were like best buds, so it's like, dude, if your best friend, who was also like one of the coolest, I mean, Ringo's my favorite Beatle. We'll get that out of the way. First concert ever saw was Ringo Starr. So I love him forever. So if your best friend was Ringo Starr and Ringo and you were asked to be in a vampire movie, I mean, that sounds like the best opportunity ever.
And there were other cool people in it too. I just heard it was really bad. I should be quiet. Leon Russell was in it.
Nobody said it had to be good. There's plenty of great movies, or bad movies have great people, and vice versa.
But I like all the people. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it doesn't matter if all the people are great.
If you were like, here's a bunch of money. If somebody said, here's a bunch of money for you to be in a movie with Ringo and Harry Nilsson, I mean, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? And also, you're going to be on this record, which is the coolest thing ever, because when you unfold the Batwings and you look inside, it's the coolest collage of monsters, black and white, cut up photos, just collage. Wolfman, you got Mummy, Frankenstein, all kinds of creepy scientists and stuff going on, hands coming out, Nosferatu. It's great.
But Gilbert is what we were actually
wanting. So, okay, Gilbert. Now, what the hell?
So the shortest version is a friend introduced me to Gilbert and Gilbert's wife, Dara, because he was like, hey, Gilbert is a collector. He's a hoarder, really, but his wife puts everything neatly away. There's a documentary called Gilbert by Neil Berkeley, and you can see Gilbert. He'll take home every soap and shampoo from the hotel.
Yep.
He's a super collector. So my friend called me and said, look, Gilbert collects everything. I bet he collects T-shirts. I'm friends with his wife, and I'm friendly with Gilbert. Let me talk to them and see if I can go check out his T-shirt collection, and I'll FaceTime you. So before this happened, I had done a painting of Gilbert as Dracula, because he used to do this character on Howard Stern a lot when he was a guest, called Dracula Gottfried. And so Gilbert's obsessed with old horror movies, so he loves doing impressions of all the old actors. So I got asked to be in this art show in California, and it was called Icons. So everybody's doing all these people that are known icons, probably mostly musicians, and I mean, really obvious ones, but done, so a lot of the art was great. But for me, I was like, well, I got to do Gilbert. I didn't think twice about it. I just thought, Gilbert is my favorite comedian. He always has been. I'm going to do Gilbert. Fast forward, my friend Scott tells me he's friends with them. He's going to look at the T-shirts, blah, blah. So I get a FaceTime one day from Scott, and it's Gilbert. Well, it's Dara first. And we start talking, and I say, hey, and I forgot to mention, I mailed them the painting that I did, because of course it didn't sell. And so apparently it was hanging in their kid's bedroom. And so I mailed it to them, and I tell Dara on this FaceTime, I say, hey, I made that painting, whatever. I'm friends with Scott here. And basically saying, hey, I'm not some random person. I'm a big fan, but also like friends with your friends, and we're all friends, and it's fine. So then I said, look, has Gilbert ever had a t-shirt design in his entire career? I've never found a t-shirt that Gilbert made for merchandise or anything. And she's like, no, nothing. I'm like, there's no way that's possible. How's he never had a shirt?
I
He's been
can't
doing
believe
stand-up.
that. Yeah.
I know. And he's been doing stand-up since he was 15 years old.
Whoa.
15.
Was there stand-up?
Yeah. Yeah. He didn't know better. He thought, I want to be a comedian. I'm going to go on stage and do some impressions. And he hasn't stopped. So I basically told her, look, I won't charge you. I will rework this image. We'll figure out a good way to make it into a t-shirt. I'll get you a printer who will do it for a fair price. Let's just try it out. Gilbert needs to have a t-shirt. Like, this is crazy to me. And he'll make some more money at the merch table if he has another merch item, because he was hauling, I believe, books and DVDs for like the past 15 years or something.
Yeah.
So we did it, and then we hit it off, and we started making some other things, and I just became friends with them. And like I said, I get random phone calls from Gilbert just to like,
what?
Like Dara will call me and say, hey, I don't know why he told me he wanted to call you, and he's just yelling at me about how much my art is shit and all this. Like,
Oh my God.
The best, I get roasted like weekly by my favorite comedian of all time, because he's probably bored.
He's bored. Can you imagine? He can't travel. He's so good at roasting. Didn't he tell you your art is the only thing worse than COVID?
I don't know if that's allowed to be on the record, because he's gotten himself in a lot of trouble. But no, I think it's fine.
I mean, it's Gilbert.
It's Gilbert. But it was basically like, doctors have said the only thing worse than COVID-19 is your shitty artwork or something like that. I gotta tell you, whatever people think my drawings are doing for them during this time, getting a phone call from Gilbert is like enough to last like an entire year or something. It is the greatest. I mean, not really, because but it's nice at them. It lasts a good while.
What an honor to be insulted by Gilbert Gottfried. It's like, he's such an icon. I remember growing up with USA Up All Night, and he was he was like randomly in movies and stuff. I don't know. He's just like always been there.
He still is, and it's so funny, because there's all these comics who tour, who they were like something big in the 80s or 90s or even more recently, and Gilbert has not stopped acting, doing voiceover work, commercials. He has a podcast that's been going for about 5 years, I believe now, that's really successful. He tours, and he's still the funniest guy on the planet. I mean,
it's hilarious. I wanted to say thank you for coming on the show and sharing, those stories with us. I don't want to keep you too long, but I just want to encourage, again, listeners to check out your album covers. There's a lot of designers who listen, and I just love, no matter what you think about what albums should look like or whatever, just the fact that your work is so cohesive, and it crosses so many different platforms, print, textile, shirts, digital, obviously. Really impressive.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and the other thing I will say lastly, I guess, the all the Easy Eye stuff that I do is very similar to each other, because we want it to all look like it belongs together, But a lot of the other album covers and album art that I do, some of it is totally different from that too. So
that is
if
true.
people are going to go check that stuff out, definitely keep scrolling. I don't know how the website is laid out. Keep scrolling.
clicking,
scrolling,
swiping.
Just keep looking. There's so much stuff buried in that website.
And we didn't even get into your collage work. Fabulous.
Yeah. Thank
Really,
you so
really cool.
much. Yeah,
Um,
I love doing that too. I'll do it
yeah.
all. Whatever somebody wants. I've done music videos, animated stuff. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll make it happen.
We can always figure stuff out. That's what's good about designers, right? We're resourceful.
Yeah, totally. You have
Figure
to be.
Yep, problem solvers. Also, I wanted to suggest that you start because I'm doing this with a few friends of mine. Exquisite corpse collaging by mail.
Oh my God, I saw that. It was they look amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, but it's so fun because then you get mail and you get to mail things out.
I got to do that. I think I know the exact two people who I would do that with too.
Yep.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna get when we get off the phone. I got to get that into action.
Do something. Yeah, keep yourself busy and positive and all that. And anyway, thank you so much for talking to me. Is there anything else you want to tell people about or?
Give me your old T-shirts.
Yeah, where do they?
I'll just say I've been collecting T-shirts for over 20 years since I was a kid. I love them so much. If you have shirts that are 20 years old or older, maybe even 25 years old at this point or older, I would love to add them to what I call my archive. I have over probably 2,000 shirts at this point, and I will put them in a good home for the rest of their T-shirt lives.
Oh.
So just find me and send me a message, and I would love to have your old shirts.
Well, there
Nothing
you have
about
it.
art, just
Yeah.
just old T-shirts. Sorry.
Well, no, I love the t-shirts. And also watch his Instagram live show Monday through Friday. It's so fun.
And it will be a
Um,
real show eventually too.
oh
I
yeah.
have to mention that we're
Yes.
working on it. I am working on a show. The actual show is called Tea Time. A total shirt show is the whatever thing under it. Subtitle, I don't know. And
Yeah.
and I've been interviewing people. Gilbert, I'll just say Gilbert Gottfried is interviewed. I looked through about 100 of his old T-shirts, including Up All Night shirts and all these other things he was part of. And if
Oh,
you have a
Night
T-shirt
Court.
collection, Night Court. If you have a T-shirt collection, I want to talk to you. So get in touch and tune in for now during the
Mhm.
quarantine
Mhm.
to T_time_shirt show on Instagram.
Fabulous. And I didn't even know you could talk about the TV show yet, but yeah, stay
I
tuned for
don't know.
that, folks.
Who knows? I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to be. So in times of quarantine, we're just
Yeah.
going to throw it all out there and see what happens.
In these uncertain times,
Yes, exactly.
in this economy. And now I'm going to play a song from Perry's band, Wildflowers of America, from their new record, Lost in the Salvation Army, and designed by Perry. The song is called Freak on the Street. Bye.
I wanna be the only freak left on the street. I wanna see